Today we're going to take this preserving jar from the reject shop, add some of this frosted glass spray from Bunnings to create this ghoulish lamp for Halloween. Let's make this! Not a lot of materials today. We're going to start with a standard grip mat. We're just going to be using some vinyl. Then I've got this glass preserving jar. I just got it from the reject shop for a couple of dollars. And you can use any jar. It doesn't have to be a brand new one. You could use an old one for this. Then I've got this Duramax frosted glass effect that I got from Bunnings. It's about $20, but it's a bit cheaper than buying the etching glass. And I'm hoping it will create the same effect. So we're going to test this out. And then I've got some scrap adhesive vinyl. You do not need to use brand new vinyl for this. If you've got brand new vinyl, go ahead. But you can just use any scrap. It can be any color because we're not actually going to leave that vinyl on our project. So we're going to start today's project in Design Space. I'm going to start with a new project. And then I'm going to go to the left and I'm going to go to images. So I'm looking for different ghost images to start with. So I'm just going to do a search for ghost. I'm going to click on the free filter because I only want to use a free image. And one comes up and he's pretty cute. So I'm going to use him. But I do want a different one as well. So I'm going to also go into Google. And I'm going to go to Google Images and I'm going to type in ghost silhouette. And you can see a number of different silhouettes come up. I'm going to choose this guy. So once I click on him, he's going to appear in the right-hand side. So I'm going to right-click, open image in new tab. This is to check to make sure that the image doesn't have any watermarks. So there's no words going across it or little curly images or anything like that that might hinder what that image looks like. And then I'm going to, once I've opened it in a new tab, I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to go to save image as. Now we're back into Design Space. I'm going to click on upload and then I am going to click and drag one of my ghosts over. Now, I don't know if it's been an update, but the image looks huge. So don't panic because the first time I saw it, I really did. I thought, oh no, what's happened? But it's fine. Once it goes into the actual image where you can get rid of the background and stuff, it goes to the normal size. So now that I'm in, I've clicked continue and then I'm just going to get rid of the background. So I just use that manual selection on the left and I just have to click to get rid of the eyes and the mouth and the background. And then along the bottom there, you can see it says Vector Stock. That's just the name of the company that made this vector. Now, you couldn't use this unless you paid for it if you were going to sell it. But because we're not selling, I'm not selling this, I just can use it as a Google image for this particular project. But to get rid of that vector stock, rather than trying to click on that select and try and get rid of it all on its own, I'm using the erase tool, which is just next to the select tool. And I'm just going to make the eraser size bigger. So I'm going to kind of start with about 73 there, and then I can just swipe across and gets rid of it in one go. Click on Preview Single Layer to make sure you've got rid of any of the parts that are in there. And then I'm just going to change the name of this to Ghost Silhouette. And then I'm going to click on Upload. So now that I've got my two ghost images, the next thing I want to do is just do some text. So I'm going to do boo, because that's what ghosts say. And I'm going to use a font that I have downloaded. I've downloaded it from 1001 Fonts. And if you go back to the candy holder tutorial that we've done for the Halloween, you'll see how to download a font from 1001 Fonts. But essentially I'm going into my system folder and then I'm just scrolling through and I'm looking for one that's quite Halloween-y. I want it to be a bolder font too because I'm going to be placing this randomly around the ghosts. So I'm going to just scroll through and I've landed on this one called Heavy Heap. It kind of looks like I don't know, like some flames. And I'm going to create a rectangle. So I'm going to the left to create shape. And I'm going to do a rectangle that's the width of 39 centimeters and a height of 9. Now, this is the diameter of my glass jar. So that's the 39 centimeters. So I've measured all the way around it. And then I've just done a little measure of how high I want it. And I've worked out that it's 9. Now, this is just to make sure that we've got, when we start moving our ghosts around, that we have got things that will fit. Okay? We're not trying to necessarily, I mean, you can keep this design as is. I'm not going to. I just want to make sure that I've got enough of my little ghosts that it will fit. And then when I go and I've cut it and I start placing it on the jar, then I'll work out exact placement and things like that. So I've put 3, they've got the 2 ghost image and the text. So I've got 3 elements in there. And then I've just selected all of them and I have just done a duplicate. This is where you now need to do things like resize. You can flip. So I've gone up to flip in the top menu and I've gone flip horizontal just so that I can see them moving around in different ways, make it look like they're kind of flying around and rotating the shape, duplicating different ones. So I'm just going to speed this up. Gosh, they look cute, don't they? I love them when they get really little because they just look like little ghosty guys going, hey, hey, going. And none of them really look like they're saying boo because they just kind of want to say hi, really. But yeah, so I've got that. I've got them all laid out as best I can. Like I said, I'm going to probably place them a little bit differently when I put them on the jar. But for now, I've got enough ghosts and enough words that it will fit around my jar. So then the next step is just to delete the rectangle because we don't actually want our Cricut to cut the rectangle. We just want it to cut our ghosts. And then just make sure you're just going to save. So this one's a little, you don't do a lot of work for it, but you know, you may as well save it. I did have a glitch the other day actually, and nothing was loading. I don't know if everyone else had that same problem, but I couldn't get any of my downloaded fonts to load. It wouldn't then save anything. So I started a project 3 or 4 times on one day because it wasn't doing anything that I wanted to, and I wasn't listening to my own advice, and I was getting too far into the project before I hit save, and so I was losing a whole heap of stuff. So make sure you do save what you've done. I'm just calling it Ghost Frosted Glass Light, and then I'm just going to go to save, and we're going to do this on matte, and it's just going to all appear on one black mat there because I've just got the black image. We don't need to mirror because we're using adhesive vinyl rather than iron-on vinyl. And we're just going to choose vinyl as our material. And then we're going to cut. So I'm just cutting all of these little pieces out to start with before I start weeding. I think you could do it either way. I just didn't want to have to pull a whole big piece off and accidentally maybe lift off some of these pieces. So that's why I've cut it into small pieces, but you could have done the whole sheet as one. So now that we've weeded everything, now it's just a matter of placing all of these down. So I'm going to just rub down the whole jar with some isocol. That's just rubbing alcohol that I got from Coles. This is to get rid of any of those dust particles or finger marks. Now, it's not completely essential that we have non-bubbled decals for this one, but what we do need is to make sure that our edges in particular are all pressed down properly. So I just thought using the rubbing alcohol and making sure that that area is prepped as best you can is probably a good place to start. So make sure that you've done that with the rubbing alcohol. And now it's just a matter of placing each of these ghosts and our little boo words all over this glass. So I'm just using a little piece of transfer tape. I'm going to reuse it over and over again. I only use one piece of transfer tape for this whole project. You may as well use it. Don't waste. I do say this a lot, but don't waste your transfer tape if you don't have to. I've just done a press on the front and then a press on the back just to make sure it lifts. This is just I think it feels like a HTV Ront vinyl, so it lifts really easily. It's weeded really well. And then all I need to do is now press all of these down. Now, I think the pink just looks adorable as it is. And you'll see at the end, I have got a couple of little ghosts left over because I'm not going to use them all. So that's why it's probably a good idea to make sure that you really fill up that design space component, because you might have a couple left over and that's not a big deal because they're just so cute. And I'm not sure where I'm going to put them, but I really want to put them somewhere. So if you've got any ideas, leave a comment below. Maybe I could just start randomly putting ghosts up everywhere. But yeah, so just put these all around. Think about your placement. I've kept two of those little ghosts together because I think they look really cute. They're like little friends who are hanging out together. Make sure you put some in the corners. So what I've essentially done is do some of the big ones to start with and kind of put those placements there. I've put one on either side of the jar, so they're kind of on the opposite side, and then I'm going to put all the little ones around with the boos around. So I'm just going to speed that up for you all. So now that they're all down, make sure you just do the final little press. What I want to do now is actually stop some of that frosted glass from going around different components of the jar. So I don't want to frost the lid. I'm concerned that if I frost the whole thing, the light, I'm not sure how well this is going to work. So I don't want any of that, all of the light to be kind of blocked by this frosted glass spray. So I'm going to keep the lid frosted glass spray free, as well as the rim around it. So I'm just using a little bit. Oh, I've gone off the edge here of the screen. Sorry about that. But essentially what I'm doing is I'm going around the whole rim of the jar with some masking tape to start with. And then I thought about doing masking tape for the actual lid, but genius or not, I've come up with a plan and I'm going to use alfoil. The reason I'm using alfoil rather than, say, Glad wrap is I'm really worried about whether or not the Glad wrap will melt from the spray. Whereas I feel like alfoil, because it is so good at manipulating itself to fit into a space or to cover a space, I feel like that might be the best thing to use. So I'm just going to wrap it around the top lid and make sure that it fits nice. Oh, man, I haven't done a very good job of filming that for all you guys. But I just need to make sure I've got on the inside as well as the outside, because when I am putting this stuff down, the lid doesn't sit down properly unless you lock it in, and I don't want to lock it in just yet. So I've just put some alfoil around the whole of the lid and on the inside of the lid as well, just to protect it, and just really scrunch it in there to make sure that you don't have any gaps. Here we go. I fixed it up, haven't I? Make sure you don't have any gaps. Make sure that you are checking to see if there are any little holes or parts that you want covered, or even the opposite, parts that you don't want to be covered, but the alpha's kind of doing its thing. So I'm just going to scrunch that down, and then I'm going to do one last wipe with the rubbing alcohol. This is just to make sure that any of those fingerprints that we have just added to our jar have been removed. Make sure that there's any, I don't think that jar's been that clean since it was made, really. Making sure that you've got rid of any fingerprints, any dust, stuff like that. And now let's head outside and get this glass, frosted glass sorted. So I'm just giving this frosted glass spray a good shake. It says to shake it for about 3 minutes before you use it. So I've done that. And now the next part of the instruction is to hold it about 15 to 30 centimeters away from the surface that you're spraying. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm just going to rotate the jar as I spray. You can see it's a little bit windy here today, and some of that spray's kind of going in the wrong direction. So I want to go as close as I can without it becoming an issue, and then I want to rotate the jar rather than trying to move the can around. So I'm just going to do that, and then we'll see what happens. Well, it said to wait for 5 minutes for it to set, but I reckon it's nearly, like, it's touch dry now. So I'm going to do another spray, but I'm loving this. This is so cute. I hope these, the ghosts and everything come off. But yeah, I'm just going to do another spray. All right, so I'm just going to do this second coat. You want to make sure that you're getting an even spray. It's looking heaps better. Like, I thought it was good after the first coat, but I think this second one is a must. So make sure that you are putting in a little bit of time to do that. But look, it's taken, 10 minutes to do this spray. So it's not really a big time consuming thing. I feel like this, if it works and I can get all of that off, look at it. Yeah, that's much better. I think it's going to be a really good alternative to buying the etching cream, which is quite expensive and can take a fair bit of time. And I've seen online, lots of people complain about how long it takes to dry, and then they remove it and it hasn't done the etching for them. This is obviously not something that I'm going to be able to eat or drink out of. So if you're going to do like some glassware or some dinnerware, obviously the etching cream is what you're going to need to use. But for this, I think this might work. I think this might be a great alternative. So let's see if it actually works first before I start endorsing it. All right, so I've left this now for at least 30 minutes. I think I actually went a little bit longer. It does say on the tin that 30 minutes for touch dry, and that is true. Hopefully, oh my gosh, it has worked. Oh, I hope all of them come off that well. So weirdly, the vinyl has kind of turned into, it's a little bit sticky and stretchy, which it wasn't before, obviously. So there's obviously some kind of chemical reaction between the spray and the vinyl. So don't leave it too long, because I'm not sure. Maybe the spray eventually will eat away at the vinyl. But for now, oh, isn't this cute? Look, I really love the pink, but now that the pink's coming off, I really love the effect that it's left. Oh, this is awesome. All right, I'm just going to speed up getting all of the vinyl off this jar, and let's see what happens in the end. I can't wait to put lights in this. That has come off really well. There were a couple of spots where it has kind of dipped a little because there was whether I hadn't put the vinyl down completely perfect, or it's lifted as I was spraying, or it's sprayed underneath. But they're not even noticeable, so I'm not really concerned about that. So now it's just a matter of removing the foil and removing the tape. And let's see. Yeah, the tape worked too. See, it's nice and clean. I think it's a really clean, just the whole thing's really clean looking. I love it. Again, this was an experiment. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, and I feel like it might have. All right, so let's now see what it looks like as the final is that going to... See, this is my only thing. I just hope that clip doesn't scratch. But the clip's going to be down, so it probably doesn't matter if it does scratch it a little bit. Oh, I love it. I love it. All right, so let's see what it looks like with the lights in it. Well, I could not be more in love with this project. This quite possibly could be my favourite so far. This is definitely my favourite Halloween one, for sure. Look at how well... So I've used Kmart string lights on the inside, and I've also tested it with some little Kmart LED candle ones. I think the ones on the strings look better. I think it gives off a bit more light. But if all you've got is those little candles, that also does a really fantastic job. I am just loving the fact that this is a very quick, very easy project. Anyone can do this. You can do one of these for any occasion. I am definitely going to be making one for Christmas. Absolutely. And it turns out I did a little bit of research to find out how you could whether you could remove this frosted glass stuff. Apparently, and I haven't tested it, but if you use acetone, so the stuff you use to get your nail polish off, that should then clean up that jar. So you could actually just buy one jar or a couple of jars, and you can just rotate your designs each year, each season, each celebration. I just love it. Like I said before, you couldn't drink out of this. So this isn't an alternative for doing glass etching on your casserole dishes or any of your glassware. But what it provides is a quick, cheap option if you're doing things like this, which are decorations for different occasions and using different, like you could use any kind of glassware. You do not have to go out and buy a jar in particular. You could just use a jar that you've got from your peanut butter. Like I just love it. You've got no idea. I'm just really happy with the way this has turned out. And I hope that people go out there and really have a go at this. Go and buy the Dulux Duramax frosted glass effect. It is awesome for this project. I don't know what it's like if you're going to use it in your bathroom, but it's great for something like this. So happy Halloween. We've got a couple more projects coming up for the Halloween season. But so far, I think this one's my favourite, and it's going to have to be some really good ones to beat it. I hope you've enjoyed this project, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget, you can always jump on my Instagram, head over to my Etsy store, or even check out the videos YouTube recommends for you down below. See you next time.